Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piworsky, coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most from the co-host with the most here on the Rundown. 2A views, conservative news, and Craig, guess what day it is?
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's hump day.
Hump day.
It's hump day.
Hump day.
That's right, folks. Today is Hump Day. This is the day in which we attempt to begin the weekend, sometimes with success, sometimes not. But as we always like to say, the fun is all in the trying.
That's it. It's like dating, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I will tell you, Mike. I am starting my weekend early. I finished a video project that I've been working on. Finished it 2 days early, and I am a chillin'. Honestly, the only work I got left to do the next couple of days, well, is this.
Oh, you see, I got a high school graduation to go to tomorrow. Finally getting that degree. Then I've got build some guns, and Friday I'm trying to go flying. So we'll see how it works out.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like we're getting into the spirit as the weather's getting better and sunnier and more summery. We're getting into the spirit of Hump Day in the early beginning of the weekend.
Like I say, as it's getting warmer, bro, it's 100 here already. Come on. We've already got into we're still in May and we're in the brutal season already.
Oh, we have not hit triple digits here yet. We've had one day in the 90s, and it was so windy, I don't even consider it 90. It was like maybe mid-80s. It's been nice.
Yeah, we get 90, 92, 93, but then we get 90% humidity, and it's 100.
Oh, well, there you go. Life in Florida, but hey, at least you have gators.
Yep. That's right. And those are good for, if you got to get rid of something, somebody, something.
Somebody? In case you had to get rid of somebody.
Oh, did I say somebody meant something?
Something that might be a body.
You said body, not me. You said
no. You said somebody.
I meant like somebody to love. Oh, I want somebody to love. I'm doing a little Beatles tribute here.
Let us be clear, Mike. You are from New York, and you live in Florida where you got gators. I am quite sure that you made more than one trip from New York to Florida to deal with a problem.
I'm just saying, living down here, it saves a lot of money on cement shoes. You know what I mean?
There you go. I'll bet it does.
Yep.
Anyway, sir. All right, well, hey, let's go ahead and get into it. But you guys know what we got to do. You know it's just mandatory. We got to do this because this is how we pay the bills. Got to give that quick shout out to our sponsors.
That's it. Let's say hi to our good friends at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. Hitmanindustries.net. If you want to get yourself a AR barrel, this is the place to go. You can get rifle and pistol calibers, anything you want, any barrel length you want for your next AR or pistol build. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. You want the best in tactical concealed holsters on the market. Get on over to hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. That's all one word, no spaces, all caps. Get a nice little discount. And if you're looking for the best in field gear, tactical gear, going outdoor gear, get on over to uscombatgear.com where you can get everything except the gun. And then a little special one for you today. We're doing the show live from the cigar lounge at Lion Arms. That's lionarmsusa.com, lionarmsusa.com, lion_arms at the Instagram. That's lion_arms at the Instagram. And if you go there, find out the phone number, give them a call here. They're going to give you 15% off any product they have in the store.
That's right, folks. Make sure to hit them up on the gram. Every single one of them. You know what? We have some phenomenal sponsors. They take care of us, and so we try to take care of them. They will take care of you as well. Not in the Mike visiting Florida and Gators kind of way, but in the positive way. Visit their websites. All you got to do is follow the link in the description to this program. Check them out. Spend some money, and make sure you tell them it was the guys over at the Rundown that sent you.
There you go. Taking care of you like they would at a California alfalfa sprout massage center.
Yeah, except they're not sticking anything up your butt.
Well, who's anything? That's all on you, Craig.
California. He's a Californian.
You got all the Bible people watching you, and you're talking about putting stuff up your butt. Okay, all right, got you. All right.
Well, there you go. Sorry, apologies, Dominus Omus. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into today's news stories. Got some fun stuff for you today. At the top of the list, hacked Mexican database reveals the extent of Fast and Furious. Now, it was kind of interesting because when you first look at the article, there's an article that was actually released there on USA Today, and I'll pull it up here real quick. And USA Today really didn't talk a whole lot about the actual, folks, right? It says here, hacked database reveals which U.S. gun sellers are behind Mexican cartel violence, right? Well, that's not really the crux of the story. The real story has to do with the role that Fast and Furious has played in this whole thing. And I'm trying to pull that story up here real quick, and my pooter is giving me a hard time with it because I don't want it to exactly fit right. There we go. Okay.
All the way.
There we go. Bam.
I heard hacked Mexican database, and I was excited. I thought, man, we finally get to see what's in a gordita. We finally get to see what's
in a gordita. All right, let's move that over a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now, this is over at Bearing Arms where they give you the really good information. Our good friend, Mr. Cam Edwards over there. It says, hack of Mexican gun database shows impact of ATF's Scandalous Operation Fast and Furious. Hackers have released reams of information gathered by the Mexican military on suspected straw purchases and firearms recovered in Mexico. And the data reveals how much damage the ATF's botched gun-walking operation, known as Fast and Furious, really was. We already know the ATF allowed more than 1,000 firearms to cross the U.S.-Mexico border, but the leak reveals that some of the most prolific suspected straw buyers in recent years were operating under the watchful eye of the agency. And this is quoting from the story. It says, as part of the leak, emails relaying U.S. government data between Mexican military leaders and PowerPoint presentations by Mexico Attorney General show which American straw buyers were tied to the most weapons as of 2022. Among them is a Texan, Craig Adlong. He pleaded guilty in 2020 for lying on firearms transaction forms, saying the guns were his for his personal use. He purchased 95 semi-automatic rifles and Guns Unlimited in Katy, Texas, making 7 visits over 2 months. Down here at the bottom it says, of the other 6 top purchasers, half were linked to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives scandal known as Fast and Furious. So, Mike, basically what this is saying, and keep in mind, this is basically pointing out that they knew who these folks were, and yet in this investigation, they literally let about 1,000 firearms land in the hands of Mexican cartel folks, and one of which actually wound up killing a border agent. And so far, as far as I know, nobody at the ATF has been held, nobody at all who knew about this at the Department of Justice has been held accountable.
Yeah, absolutely right. Craig, I also want to say, when I heard Mexican database leak, I was thinking Selma Hayek pictures too. I was thinking that as well. Bring this story back. Craig, and scroll to the bottom there for me. It says down here, retired ATF Assistant Director Peter Forcelli recently wrote a powerful memoir about his time at the Phoenix ATF office. I've met Peter Forcelli a couple of times. He's been on Arms Room Radio with us. In fact, Craig, I believe you got to meet him when we were at SHOT Show as well. I believe he worked out of the Colorado office at the time, and they sent them down as part of the task force down to Phoenix to help out with the gun run. Well, not with gun running, but with the gun issue going on down there with the cross-border movement of guns. And Mr. Agent Forcelli found out what was going on and started to look into and see where these things were going. And he immediately reported it to higher, and they were like, ignore that. Don't do anything with it. Now you want you to do these other kinds of operations that have nothing to do. So they basically had him, if I recall correctly, working the regular gun crimes and not messing with the border stuff to relieve the Phoenix office of the Fast and Furious was their only focus at that point. So they didn't have to worry about regular street crime. So yeah, he was one of the ones that immediately discovered something was going wrong and brought that to light back in the day.
Yeah, it's funny here. They point out, Cam points out, it says Mexican officials like Alejandro Solorio, who's deeply involved in the Mexican government's $10 billion lawsuit against multiple gun makers, claim the database buttresses their case that firearms industry is knowingly arming cartels. But if anything, it shows that Mexico should be suing the ATF and DOJ instead of companies like Smith and Wesson. And I think that is definitely a valid point that's being made there. I mean, once again, our government, those who are tasked with, making sure that firearms aren't trafficked, were deeply involved in the trafficking of firearms.
Yeah, and listen, you can see how this plays out, right? Mexico comes to the Biden administration and says, we need money. He says, well, it's not your turn yet. He goes, well, we're going to file a lawsuit against DOJ and ATF. And he goes, no, here's what you do. File it against the gun corporation. We'll play that media up for quite a while. And then when they finally tell you you've got the wrong target, you can only go after DOJ and ATF, we'll just give you a big check, drop the suit. We're going to give you the money anyway. We might as well find a cover story for giving you the money.
Yep. There you go. What also gets me, Mike, is, now keep in mind, under the Trump administration, because under the Trump, I don't want to call it, it's political persecution and prosecution. The number of people who've gone to jail simply because, or been arrested or been charged, or have had to go to court, simply because of their involvement with Donald Trump, not because they did anything wrong. There's actually the first person ever to have to spend time in jail in modern history for contempt of Congress. And yet you have a gentleman who was the director of, he was the attorney general, right? Who defied Congress, actually refused to testify, refused to provide information, refused to cooperate when it came to Fast and Furious, and it never filed charges, never was brought to justice. And that was for this. Work, huh? That wasn't for actually, just being next to the president.
I believe, Craig, that after we get through this election cycle and we get President Trump back in office again, that this is the case they can use if they want to go back and say, okay, you want to mess with people from our administration? We're going to mess with people from your administration, from your previous administration, because here it is. This is not political prosecution. This is not one party versus another. This is you breaking the law to try and get political points. So here we go. Let's bring it up. This is the case that has legs, Craig. This is not it's just retribution. This is boom, here you go. This thing's been sitting out there for 8-10 years. Now we're dealing with it.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that the same can be said of the Clinton email scandal? Especially since we know that she basically was guilty and did exactly what Trump is accused of doing.
I honestly believe that in order to preserve the union, that we have to leave the former presidents and their family alone. I really do. And it's just the same thing, George Washington did when he stepped down after 8 years, right? Or when he took over as the president. Remember the Whiskey Rebellion and everything like that. And then this is the same thing that Lincoln did during the end of the Civil War, when he said we're not going to charge the Southern Confederate States president. We're going to try and heal. And I think the way to do that and to give back that dignity of the high office is that we shield that high office and let them go right off into the sunset.
Mike, I don't have to like it to agree with you.
I don't like it either. And I would love to see her and Biden and Obama in jail. But I don't think that's the way to do it.
For no other reason, not because I want to see a former president in jail, but turnabout is fair play.
I think we disgrace them as far as we want to. Here, it's proven. Here's the report. I am the president. And then President Trump comes forward and he says, it's proven. Here it is. This is it. I'm pardoning them today and telling them to go enjoy the rest of their lives.
There you go. Forget those guys.
Yep.
Anyway, moving right along. Now, you remember that the pullout of Afghanistan, and you remember how we left billions of dollars, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars worth of ammunition, armors, and equipment that we left there in Afghanistan. Well, let's just what's the term we'll look for? Oops, we did it again. That's right. Oops, he did it again. Joe Biden has another retreat under his belt. Put it up here. Another retreat. Joe Biden withdraws from Niger, leaving behind $100 million military base. The U.S. and Niger issued a joint statement on Sunday that set a deadline of September 15th for the withdrawal of all U.S. forces. The departing American troops leave behind $100 million military base built to support counterterrorism operations in the Sahel region. The disposition of the Airbase 201 in Niger's city of, and I'm not going to try trying to pronounce that, was left unclear in the joint statement, which held out hopes that the U.S. and Niger might be able to work on, quote, issues of mutual interest in the future. Now, Mike, you know more about the goings on in the military than I do. Do you have any background or anything like that, knowing what's going on with us, basically, once again, leaving a military base, leaving these sorts of resources behind?
Typical of what we've seen of this administration, typical of what we saw of General Milley's Joint Chiefs of Staff. This is the easy way out for them. Let's just leave the equipment behind. And again, every modern warfare instance that we'd ever been involved in, anything that got left behind, Craig, in the future ended up being used against us. I mean, from the support facilities like this to the actual bullets themselves. This is despicable. It wouldn't take that long. Craig, you listen. Rather than leave it behind, how about we take the aircraft off, we clear the ground, and then we let all the pilots get rid of all their bullets and their bombs into the facility? Hey, great target practice. Here you go. And we don't have to worry about leaving it. We were leaving it behind anyway. Might as well leave it behind in multiple pieces.
Well, now that makes a little bit too much sense, Mike.
Yeah.
It makes entirely too much sense. I get it, and I know that we're not supposed to. I get why we don't want to be the world's police, but the reality is that to a certain degree we are, and especially when it comes to dealing with and addressing counterterrorism, to leave resources behind is what gets me. It's not like this doesn't cost us anything. It's not like we got $100 million, to just blow on another base somewhere. I'm wondering if we're having a hard time trying to man the space because of challenges with recruitment, or I don't know. I just know that we have never been more, what's the word I'm looking for? Vulnerable. Vulnerable is one, but the lack of respect for U.S. military might, I feel like if we ever got into a battle, we would, not that we couldn't win, but we would surrender. we would probably even be winning when we surrendered.
Oh, it happens many times. It happened in Afghanistan. It happened in Vietnam. We know that. Craig, this is. I'll tell you this about respect for U.S. fighting men and women. Now, it's still fear. Okay, because here's the one thing they know, that if they attack a U.S. military base, small base, convoy, one person, whatever it is, that there's a division of the 82nd and an air carrier wing coming for them. All right, we're going to send everything in the world for them. The greatest thing in the world that ever happened to foreign troops when we were in Afghanistan and Iraq is that there was an American within their troops, and they could call and say, "There's an American here," and let the American call for help, because then the world was coming to save them. The problem with this base in Niger is they don't want the negative public opinion. They require more troops to secure that base. They don't have enough troops to secure that base. And you don't secure the base just by putting all your people on the wire. You've got to move forward your assets into towns, into the surrounding areas to provide that buffer zone. So they have to exist outside the base. They have to exist as part of the economy. They have to exist as part of the culture that's going on. And they're not willing to do that. They're not willing to put the number of troops forward. So just as easy enough to leave $100 million worth of equipment behind.
What a joke. I just, the worst part is it's a joke that's not even funny.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Mike, did you hear about the whole flag incident that went on with Justice Alito?
No, what was that?
Okay. Oh, let me tell you about this.
No, just kidding. I heard.
Oh.
Yeah. His wife, I think for an hour or two, put a flag out upside down, if I recall correctly. Did so without Justice Alito's knowing. It reported it without Justice Alito's knowing, and I think she did it for something homeowner association related or something, if I recall.
It wasn't homeowners association related. So what happened was a liberal who lives down the street had a 50-foot billboard basically slamming her husband and slamming, it at one point it said, F Donald Trump, and it didn't say F. It had a word that rhymes with duck. It had a thing with her, and the guy who was there was just, every time when she said something to him about her and her husband's name being on this billboard, he was very mean, nasty, and vulgar, and called her many, many bad names, including the C word. And just out of exasperation and frustration at the lack of civility in politics and in the political commentary, she took their flag and flew it upside down, which is an international sign of distress. Well, needless to say, liberals picked up on this. Years later, by the way, this happened. Now, years later, liberals picked up on it. They asked him about it. He's like, Justice Alito was like, look, I had no idea that it happened until after it happened. I didn't make a decision to do it. Yada, yada, yada. And and so now what they want is now you have a bunch of House Dems, because that story is now out, right? They want Justice Alito to actually recuse himself from from Trump's case or any of the January 6 cases. Here, I'll read the story real quick, or some of it. A group of House Democrats on Tuesday called on Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito to recuse himself from all future cases related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol or the 2020 presidential election. In a letter addressed to the conservative justice, 45 Democrats pointed to recent New York Times reporting of a photograph taken less than 2 weeks after the Capitol attack on 2021 that showed an upside-down flag on display at Alito's home. At the time, the symbol was closely associated with Stop the Steal movement, which tried to prevent the transfer of presidential power based on, I'm not even going to read their thing. Alito said he had nothing to do with the upside-down flag, and that his wife hung it amid a spat with neighbors. Yeah, a spat with neighbors is being quite Political.
There we go. Okay, so it was a spat with. I thought it was. Rain recalled homeowners. It was a spat with neighbors, is what it was. Yeah, hey, Craig. Listen, now you got Congress trying to take part in the cancel culture, right? Well, I say we put some investigators on these congressmen, see if we can find anything in their past, and then have them recuse themselves from Congress. Anything that any family member might have done while they were not home, anything that a child might have done at school, a brother might have done, your sister might have done when they were kids. Let's go for it. I mean, if we are redefining, the boundaries of the playing field, let's take full advantage of it.
It's amazing to me though, Mike, how Democrats are always calling on Republicans to recuse themselves, but you have in a case, for example, of Sotomayor, who literally ruled on a case that ruled for her publisher, who cut her like a $10 million check. I mean, talk about a conflict of interest, and yet it's still this. How is this a conflict of interest? What does this at all have to do with?
It's not. It's absolutely not. And Craig, you're right. This is just going to make the releases we should see in the next 2 months coming out of the Supreme Court even more conservative. I mean, all this does is drive Alito further to the right. That he could get further to the right. He'd have to move. I don't know how he can move further to the right. He'd have to be Scalia to be further to the right. But that's what he's going to do. You're going to see take up majority opinions from the far right of conservative justice legal interpretation. Here coming up in the next 2 months.
It is the hypocrisy that just get, and it's like blatant hypocrisy. It's like they're not even masking, not even attempting to pretend.
No.
To not be hypocritical.
No. They just pretend to be congressmen, that's all.
There you go. That's exactly what's going on here. They're just pretending to be Congress people. That, I guess, is how it works. Okay. And then finally, our last story today. I wanted to show this one because it cracked me up when I saw it. This is being reported by the Washington Free Beacon. So in one speech, the White House had to issue 10 corrections. Let me say it again. 10 corrections in a single Biden speech. Once again, as reported by the Washington Free Beacon, the White House issued 10 corrections for President Joe Biden's Sunday speech at a campaign event in Detroit with the NAACP. Biden had falsely told voters at the NAACP dinner that he was vice president during the COVID-19 pandemic. His term of office as vice president ended in January of 2017, 3 years before the start of the pandemic. I won't get into the quote because I've already played it for you. The White House's other revisions show that Biden said, inspiring instead of inspiring, erections instead of insurrectionists, organization instead of award, before referring to the NAACP as the NAAC.
The AFT?
Knack. The knack.
Please tell me he didn't try and read a speech about the country Niger. Please tell me that.
No. That would have been nice. But he did refer to the NAACP as the National Association for the Advancement of Coloreds.
There you go. Of the colored folks.
No, not just coloreds.
I got the whites, the coloreds, and the permanent press. Right? Is that what I got?
The whites, the coloreds, and the permanent press. That's how it works right there.
And the delegates.
And the delegates. There you go. All right, folks. Well, hey, that brings us to our parting shots today. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. Let's start out. So we got 2 videos, and then we've got 2 that are coming to us from the Babylon Bee. We're going to go ahead and start off with the Babylon Bee. You might have heard that the the star of the whole trial, Michael Cohen. Well, let's just say his testimony didn't go over real well for him. In fact, according to the Babylon Bee, prosecution offers Michael Cohen $130,000 hush money to stop talking.
I think that's okay. You're allowed to do that, right? Do
Well, I guess, is he a stripper? And did they have sex? And is he running for president?
Yeah.
And are they running for prosecutor, running for president? Those are the requirements.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we talked the other day about the death by helicopter of the Iranian president. Well, good news for Iran. Iran confirms they are interviewing several new turban-wearing, bearded, genocidal psychopaths to replace the deceased president.
The list is long.
The list is long. Yes, they are. Yes, it is. Okay, we got a couple of funny videos, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play them back to back and let y'all crack up. So, here we go.
Look at this. A transgender cop car. Look at that.
Are you guys cops, or you just identify as cops?
Too sensitive. Like, people are very sensitive. Like, I don't know, how can you judge on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict if you don't know your own gender? You know what I mean? Like, like, you know what I mean? Thank you. Like, why are people so upset? It used to be Palestine, now it's Israel. You trans, you should know that. You know what I mean?
Good point.
Good point. Okay, so anything I'll say on the first video, and this is what I hate about the TikTok generation or the TikTok thing is, you couldn't see both of the guys in the police car in the first video. It's like they tell you what it is, what dude looks like, but you don't actually get to see it.
Yeah. That's why I keep saying it. Landscape, not portrait. Landscape.
Yeah, well, that don't work for TikTok though. Anyway, I'm with you though, man. I'm with you.
Oh, you'd have to turn your phone sideways, and nobody could do that, Craig.
I know. That's too difficult for the Gen Zers. Hey, wasn't me. Anyway, all right, folks. Well, hey, before we go, it's time to give another quick shout out to our sponsors.
Yeah, Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. Now you can get rifle and pistol caliber barrels in any length you desire, caliber you desire. Your next rifle or pistol build. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, in a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California Future Today. You want the best in tactical gear on the market? Get on over to uscombatgear.com, where you can get everything but the gun. And if you're looking for the gun, get on over to lionarmsusa.com. That's lionarmsusa.com. _arms on the gram. Call them, mention you saw us on the rundown, and they give you 15% off whatever they got for sale.
15% off. 15% is 15%, ladies and gentlemen. Get her done. All right, folks, so that's going to be it for today's episode. We will be back tomorrow on the Throat Punch Thursday. Till then, y'all stay frosty. We'll see you then.